All right, we are live. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Between Sessions podcast. My name is Ebony Harris.
And I am Elisa Bokeen, and we are two brown chicks changing the face of therapy on
Both.
both sides of the couch.
I love your energy.
I just got back from vacation. I'm ready,
Oh yeah, you got it.
ready.
Brand new energy,
Yes,
brand new island energy.
yes. I am ready.
All right.
Change the face of therapy.
Yes. So it is just me and Elisa today. We have had a lot of guests over the past few months. And so we are going to just chat. Today we're talking about racial ambiguity and how does it affect you when people just have a need to know what you are.
Mm-hmm. What
And
are you?
exactly. Like, well, are you really?
Where are you from?
No, where are you from originally?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
No, like where? Illinois. And then it's kind of like, where are your people from?
where my ancestors from? Oh, okay. So I don't have. I feel like this is going to be like an interview of you, Elisa, because I don't get this a lot. I think most people see me as a Black person. I know we actually had someone that commented on a podcast about us saying two brown chicks, and we can talk about that briefly as well.
Yeah.
She was just curious. I don't know if it was a curiosity or you felt like we needed to change our tagline.
It was a little. It was curiosity, and it was a kind suggestion. I think really with the spirit of inclusivity and making sure that you were also being represented the way you wanted. So I called you up like, hey.
Yeah. Lisa was worried. She was like, "Are you offended? Is this a problem?" I was like, "What?"
Like, how did we even come up with it? I don't even remember how we came up with the lines. I was like, wait. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just for clarification, I've always identified people of color as brown. So
and I think that was we didn't say it was kind of wondering about why we say two brown chicks.
right, as opposed to a brown and a Black chick.
Yeah.
Which in a lot of our conversations we do say brown and Black communities, and I get that. I get why that's like, oh wow, on the podcast y'all say that. But like I said, for me, I've always just said, even when I was like, oh, I just want to help little brown girls or whatever, because I guess if you're not white, to me, you're brown. So, and so that's just the way I've identified. I'm a Black person.
I think it's in the spirit of India Ari. Brown skin.
I got brown skin. Right, that is true.
Brown skin.
that is true. I love my brown skin, so I'm okay with being identified as a brown woman, girl, lady, female.
It rolled off the tongue easier.
Right. I think we were just trying to talk about the podcast and what the goal was and all that kind of stuff. And of course, you come up with really good quick lines. So I was like, that sounds perfect because that's exactly what we're trying to do. So there's that clarification. But thanks for your comments. And if you haven't left a comment, please go to iTunes and leave us a comment because it really does help us. One, get to know how you feel about the show, but then two, also helps us get found by other people. So we do appreciate that and the raving 5 stars that you gave us as well.
Leaving us the love. Leave us the love. And we want to be able to shout you out. So we're going to start reading some of those comments and reviews. So yeah, let us give you a shout out wherever you at.
Please. Okay. So, but going into racial ambiguity, this is something that you've dealt with. I won't say clearly because I don't know if everybody gets it because I feel like, I won't even lie. So when we first connected on social media, that was a question I literally, when I was like, I don't know if she's Black.
What are you?
Or, but I mean, to me, I was like, you were bomb at social media. So I wanted to meet you. So it didn't matter. But I do remember when we first connected and we're going to meet up. But then the moment I met you, like, I mean, you are who you are. And I don't know what that means. I feel like that might be crossing the line. But, like, you're proud and it's you. And so I never had a question about it.
After I think this conversation, we why we were having this conversation is because when we were last having our, little planning session that we do with our Melanin and mental health crew, part of the conversation was, our mission to spread awareness and to really get in our communities, to get in the Black and Latinx community and talk about this. And just kind of what we've noticed, some of maybe the uncertainty, that question about who hears Latinx.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was kind of what sparked in addition, kind of sparked this thing. So let's address it, let's address the topic.
Right. Mm-hmm. And especially when we had Soul and Tasha on, right? So X looks all different shades, and so it's people have this need to know,
right,
for whatever reason, and we'll kind of get into that, but people seem to have this need to know who you are, where you're from, and I think you made a good point of why. So can you explain why you think people just have that need to want to know where you belong?
Yeah. Well, I think we're wired as humans to be connected to other humans. That's just, we know that. We're both marriage and family therapists, so we get attachment theory. And I think the next piece to that is our need to be with people like us.
Mm-hmm.
Are you one of us?
Right. Right.
We want to connect with others like us. And so when you kind of fit into this real ambiguous, I don't know about you.
Mm-hmm.
It's this, I think it's just human curiosity also. And I think as we are wanting more and more and more to see diversity also, we want to know, okay, where in this do you fall in?
Right. It also goes into the safe spaces, right? So there are certain spaces where I feel more comfortable speaking in a certain way, and so I need to know who's around me so I can see if I feel comfortable.
Right.
Because as much as we want to pretend like we can be the same way in every situation, and you should be genuine, in whatever situation you find yourself in, the truth is that there's a certain way I talk about my family. There's a certain way I talk around my friends. There's a certain way I talk around professional, so, and that goes into racial things as well. There's a certain way I'm going to talk when I'm in a setting where I'm one of a few brown people versus, not. So I think that goes into it as well. So how do you identify so I can know what's okay and what's not okay?
Well, and I think part of that also is our need for reciprocation. Right? We when we're interacting with someone, there's this flow between us, right? This give, and my dog is losing her mind. There's this flow between people that when you get it, I'm gonna get that flow back from what you get it, and we're gonna be exchanging communication, exchanging energy. I may not even need to say certain things. And so that flow is part of what helps us to feel connected to that other person. And so I think that's part of it, is wanting to know, so are you going to get it when I reference this, or not even reference something, but just do you understand?
Right.
I have a need, especially if it's just me and maybe one other person.
True. True. So it's an interesting dynamic, because I do feel there are times when people try to force you to identify. They that curiosity is just too much for them not to know.
Yeah.
And then even questioning your identity.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if you want to share stories of people that have literally told you no, you're Black.
So just for the record, I am Mexican. My parents are from Mexico, and as far back as I know, they're both my biological parents.
That's funny.
My grandparents that I know of, but I think in that there's such a blend when you are Latinx. All of our different, all of the different categories that fall within that, we are a blend of Black, Indian, Spanish, right? So within different people, certain characteristics, certain traits, physical traits are going to be seen.
Right.
I think that's what confuses people because they don't get it. Because what is represented, especially in if you watch Univision or Telemundo, you're going to get the Mexicans that look more Italian, Euro looking. You might see a Salma Hayek, or even the lighter skin, Euro looking people. And so when somebody like me shows up, they're very confused. But I am Mexican, and it does confuse people, and they'll challenge me on it. They're like, no. So they either think I'm lying about it.
Like you're in denial about being Latina.
And I'm like, no, really. Or they'll think that if I am Latinx, that I'm one where maybe it's more associated with, it may be that maybe you're Dominican, right? Or maybe more of these African characteristics, traits, physical traits will show up.
Right.
But people don't always associate that with Mexicans. And Mexico itself just recently began to recognize its Black citizens.
Right.
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 So yeah, it confuses people. Even with my own kids, sometimes they've shared with me. They might share a picture of me with a teacher or something for whatever reason, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't know your mom was Black," and they're like, "Well, she's Mexican." Oh, no, I'm sorry.
But are you sure?
Yeah.
That's funny. So it's just interesting because I feel like that's something that it's another one of those things that brown people sometimes have to deal with that other people just don't even think about. Right? So being racially ambiguous can be a positive thing, right? Because even Dr. Jess, I think, talked about that. I can't remember if she talked about it on our town hall.
I think she did.
She talked about how she knows that she has been chosen for certain things because she is racially ambiguous. But when she refers like someone who is clearly Black or clearly, whatever, they tend to pass. They want someone that looks a little bit more like her, where it's like, oh, you kind of look white, you kind of like you have some other stuff, but you work for our whatever. And so there is privilege to that, but then it's also some things that some drawbacks from it.
Yeah. So for some people, they can check off the diversity check. It's amazing. Still fight women dog. They can check off the diverse. Oh, we have a diverse, representation, but that diverse representation may fall within that racially ambiguous space. And I think it is. It can be. There's certain privileges, and it can be incredibly frustrating. Is what I sort of mentioned. In that you want to feel connected to others. And when you don't look like maybe just even your family members, and so you don't feel fully connected there, but you can't fully claim anything else either. So that ambiguity, people get a little, they're kind of frustrated, right? Like, and I don't know if frustrated is the right word. But they're like trying to put their finger on it. So for the person who is racially ambiguous, it can be really frustrating for us in that it's like, well, I'm still trying to figure out in my DNA because I don't feel like I fit in here, but maybe I don't feel like I fit in there either. So those can be some of the drawbacks also.
Right. And even as far as mental health, like when you are not feeling like you fit into a box, like how does that then impact you as you are looking for like people to connect with and things like that? I'm sure that hurts as well.
Oh yeah, I remember as a kid, what made it even more complicated for me was I grew up in a really small rural town in Illinois, and I was like one of 10 brown people in the school, and it was pretty racist also, but it was I have a real vivid memory of being in 5th grade and we were doing the standardized testing, which was, I hated like those 3 days or whatever.
Right.
Oh my God, filling out bubbles all day. And I remember getting to the part where it asked you, you know, what your racial background was. And back then it was just white, Black, Indian, other. And so I remember I was literally sitting there confused, like, well, what do I put? I don't know what I am. And I remember asking my teacher, who was an older white woman. She was mean too. I won't use her name, Mrs. Hastings, but she was mean.
That's funny.
She was mean, so I really didn't even want to ask her to bother her. And I remember asking her, I said, so what do I put? Because I was like, I guess I put other. I said, what do I put? Because I'm not this, I'm gonna put other. And she was like, no, put white, you're white. And I just remember thinking, I waited for her to walk away. I was a very obedient child. So for me to do this, I was being rebellious, but I knew that she would not be able to see whose it was. And I was like, well, I'm not white. And I remember, like, I guess I'm other. But I think it was that, always feeling other.
Right.
Even within my own family, where, you know, I looked a little different, feeling other. And at the girls around me who were light skinned, they were white, they were blonde hair, blue eyes, you know, other.
Right.
It was like those were the girls that the 2 brown boys liked, you know. It was other. I felt other. I didn't feel pretty. I didn't feel attractive. I didn't feel like I belonged. I felt dirty. I felt other, you know. And so I think that's how, as a kid, the way it impacted my mental health was low self-esteem, feeling just very different, you know. And especially when you're like 5th grade, 6th grade, that's when you start coming into your own, and you're also, your body's going through so many changes.
Right.
And 12-year-olds, you know, they look much different.
Definitely.
They got YouTube, they got Pinterest, you know, like they can Google how to.
Get themselves together. Yeah, I don't like any of my middle school yearbook pictures, but that's another story. I didn't have the glam face or anything like that.
I didn't know nothing about nothing. I had purple eyeliner. I remember 8th grade. That was like, ooh. You know,
my hair was like scraggly, and I was in this wave situation. I don't know, it was bad.
Yes. And so it was difficult to feel connected. It was difficult to, there was not representation. It was difficult as a kid when you're building your confidence and your self-esteem. I struggled with that for a really long time.
Right. No, that makes sense. And I can even see that playing out as a therapist, right? So now we're adults, we're supposed to be so confident in who we are. But then and this goes back to what we talked about as far as like why we even started Melanin and Mental Health, was people look at your picture and they want to come talk to someone who they can relate to.
Right.
Wanting to connect with someone. And so if I'm going through the pictures and I'm like, okay, this person looks like they have a little bit of melanin. This person, you know, because I know even for me, like when I look for a therapist now, I don't necessarily look for a Black therapist, Black or Latinx, really, because I feel like we're so connected with so many of them here in Houston at this point. But I do look for like, okay, so maybe she's Middle Eastern or something. You know, I look for someone that has an experience as a minority because that's important to me. But anyways, all that to say that this is why we started Melanin and Mental Health. And so for you, when people reach out to you and come and see you, and then they have this expectation that you are a Black woman, like how does that show up in the
It's always, it's interesting because sometimes they'll call and they'll say, I mean, I handle it just in a way, you know, where I let them know I can't speak to the Black experience, but I can speak to the minority experience. A lot of times they feel like they need to apologize and be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm like, you don't have to apologize.
Right, yeah.
I'm not offended. The only reason I'm offering you this information is because if if you specifically want a Black therapist, I don't want to let that go.
Right. I'm not gonna misrepresent myself.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's never been an issue until, it's to this day, it's never been an issue. I think that's the first thing that, they may call me for. And then when they tell me it's very important for me to have, a Black therapist, and I let them know, I'm like, I totally get that. I can speak to the minority experience. I'm actually Mexican. Completely confuses them because they think my name is Eliza Boquin. It's Elisa Boquin, so I just let them know. And that I always do think it's interesting, just kind of witnessing. And it has happened more with clients when I'm out and about. I mean, I will literally have people stop me, like in the store.
Say what?
What are you? Like, oh, maybe I'm at the cashier, you look very exotic. Like, where are you from?
I'm sorry. Look, I'm sorry you're experiencing that, because I can understand how that could be so frustrating and annoying.
It's I don't really get annoyed. I get a kick out of it.
Okay.
I get a kick out of when people think for sure they know, and then it's never been Mexican that they guess. And it's even and I've had other Mexicans.
Yeah.
Like, what? So that's what I'm saying is, like, even within my own group, they're like, no, you're not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I always get a kick out of them. I'll kind of tease people. I say, I left my sombrero at home, my sarape at home, I'm not home. Then they'll, but it doesn't offend me. I get a kick out of maybe being the first person that they see that is representative in how I look.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
I think you like talking to people more than me too. Like, literally, if you stop me to ask me what am I, I'm going to be so confused. But I wonder if that's one of those things where you've experienced it so much, kind of like
my whole life.
Yeah, I just make light of it. It is what it is.
When I go to New Orleans, they think I'm local. Like, my whole
you gotta be Creole.
Yeah.
You gotta be Creole.
Just like my cousin, I don't know. I can only give you the info that I have,
Right.
So it's interesting to me. And I think part of it is because I get a kick out of human behavior, and what we love talking about is culture and how that intersects with human behavior and all that, and people's misunderstandings and representation that is out there. So I get a kick out of it.
Okay. Well, look, as long as you but yeah, so I guess that it like you said, we kind of stated, like, there are goods, there are bads. You might be able to be put in certain situations or have certain opportunities because of it. But then it also can affect you in certain ways where you feel like you're missing out on that connection with people, or you're not able to or I don't want to say not able to do certain things, because I don't know if that's a thing, but even to the point of, like, if people aren't sure, then are they stopping themselves from, like, approaching me or talking to me, or things like that?
I think for me, where it does sometimes, I will feel even my own struggle in that, even as conscious as I am and self-aware as I am, or I try to be, I may not fit into what the criteria is for what I'm supposed to like, for what I'm supposed to enjoy, for what I'm supposed to look like. I may not fit that criteria, and I can't be anything other than what I am. This is who I am. This is just me. And so even I might find that I might struggle in, like, no, here's your box. I'm like, but no, I don't fit in that box. So I think that's part of racial ambiguity also, and just cultural ambiguity, because to add to that, I'm first generation. I'm a first generation Mexican American. And so how that has played a role with just the culture and kind of the values that my family came with. And I'm like, or not just values, but I would say, like, certain sort of rules.
Right.
So honestly, for me, the ambiguity can be fun on some level to get a kick out of people, but it has been something that my whole life has kind of left me feeling like I don't really fully fit in there. I don't really fully fit in here. I don't really fully fit in over there. And I'm where I'm at in my life now. I'm more at peace with that,
Mm.
you know.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
it's taking me a while because I'm 42.
I feel like that's just life in general. I mean, not to take away from what you're saying, but when you say like it's taking you a while, like I was just having a conversation with someone about like, at this age, I thought da 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 da, and it's like I feel like that's every age, and every age you're gonna feel like I thought I would be here, or I should have gotten here sooner, or whatever the case may be. Like you are where you are, so and it's good when you can acknowledge like the progress that you've made.
Yes, more of that acceptance that I have. It's like, well, maybe I'm not doing that. That's even a stereotype that I know is a stereotype.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
yeah. All right. Well, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to add regarding this conversation?
I think that was it. I think it's so cool kind of seeing after there's a lot of disappointments last night with the election. One of the highlights for me is seeing this beautiful diversity of women that is being shown, and so it was a good topic for us to kind of briefly touch on.
Right. I think that I agree. What you just said. Exactly what you said. Yes. I like seeing the post about, first this, first that, these people that are getting these opportunities and are working hard to try to help as much as they can, even in the state of affairs as they are right now. So,
having that representation on some level.
Right. It matters.
Yeah, it matters so much just to see others that look like you.
And it mattered even, and I think that's the good thing is that it does matter even when people are running and they don't make it. Like it still matters when someone sees that because now somebody else can say, oh, maybe I can try and I will. Like it gives people that motivation, like, oh, you can do this. This is an option for you. Yeah. Whereas when you don't see yourself, you don't even think about it. So.
Right. Not on your radar.
Positivity.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I think we're finally kind of calming down. I'll be in Chicago next weekend. So I'm not sure. We were planning to have a happy hour, but it's a lot happening.
There's so much. I was out of town for the Women's Earth Self-Love Retreat in Tobago, which was amazing. But there was so much buildup for that. We had stuff coming up. So I finally feel like, okay, we have like 6 days before this. Because the holidays are here. And yes. And we also
do like hey, this is where I'm at tonight. Like if any therapists want to come and hang out with me, maybe. Yes. But I don't want to like put on a whole happy hour. I don't feel like I have the energy right now to do that. But I will be there speaking at a conference. So if you want to go to the I Can Collective, go get her conference. I posted it on my page. You can go to I Can Collective on Instagram, and she has all the links or whatever. So it'll be,
Tell them the date again.
The conference is November 16th and 17th. And on the 17th is when I'll be speaking, and we're going to do a mental health panel. And so we're going to talk about self-care and entrepreneurship. So, and it is Melanin and mental health inspired. And so, I would love to see some therapists there if you're interested.
Awesome. And then I'm trying to pull up the date for Dr. Manuel's event.
Yes.
So, remind me of the date. I'm going to pull it up here. So we have a webinar coming up with Dr. Manuel, who is going to be talking about browning your practice.
That is next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. Sign up online. Yes, we've had a few people ask, I'm at work or I can't see it at that time. It is recorded, so once you pay for it, you get access to it. But Dr. Manuel is awesome. He is the one that coined the phrase, therapy is ours. He's going to be talking to you about how to work with the Latinx community, which we are everywhere, and kind of decolonizing therapy and all of that awesome stuff that he he's just so knowledgeable and well versed in. So that's going to be such a great webinar. Sign up for that.
Yes, yes. So that's all we have today. Make sure you follow us across social media at Melanin and Mental Health, Melanin and Health on Twitter. Head over to melaninandmentalhealth.com to check out all the rest of the podcast, the directory, the store, buy some merch, and sign up for the directory if you haven't. We do appreciate everybody that's been supporting us along this journey. And talk to you next week. Yeah, I'm like, is there anything else I'm missing?
We will be back next week.
We'll see you next week.
Bye. Bye.